The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Bellevue, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 33955. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your fire apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting just under the front bumper, you'll find 2 tow hooks located on the passenger and driver's side front area. Moving up onto the face of the bumper on the passenger side, you'll find a notch which gains access in the bumper to your large diameter inlet. Moving just inside of that location, you'll find your PA speaker and siren. Moving over to the driver's side face, you'll find dual air horns. Let's move up now onto the top of the bumper extension where you'll find your hose tray. Moving just slightly to the right in this image toward the driver's side, you'll find your mechanical siren. Let's move up onto the body now where you'll find your clearance lights on the outer edge and a turn marker indicator. Just inside that, you'll find your headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. On the outer edges, difficult to see in the image here, you'll find your side-facing cameras and also a forward-facing emergency warning light. Just above the Pierce logo is where you'll find a grab handle located for access to the windshield area. Up onto the windshield, you'll find 2 windshield wipers. On the outer edge, you'll find a mirror which is flat and then the lower section which will be convexed. Moving up onto the brow of the apparatus, you'll find 5 clearance lights. Moving just inside that location to the very center, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. Then as we move up onto the roof, you'll find your light bar. And then just over the driver's area, you'll find your Opticom system. Let's take a look at a few of the items that we just talked about a little closer up. Starting at the very bottom, you'll find your open-ended tow hooks. Moving further back underneath the front chassis, you'll find your tow hooks. And then as we move to the very front face area, you'll find a strip light LED, which is your clearance light for the front. Let's move through a couple other items here, some close-ups. First, starting with the notch in the front bumper to gain access to your front bumper inlet. As we move to the center section, you'll find your notched storage area. Located in the center, you'll find a hose tray, Velcro straps on the top, dry deck material on the bottom. As we move to the face of the bumper, this is your siren and PA speaker system. Moving up to the headlight structure, housing a clearance light, turn indicator, low and high beam headlights. As we move up to the top, you can see your emergency warning light, and then just over the driver's seat, you'll see your Opticom. Moving out to the driver's side, you'll find a Shoreline inlet. It is a 20 amp auto eject plug. Moving further to the right, you'll find an engine heater, which is also 20 amp, and it is also an auto eject plug. When plugged into shore power, you'll find your auto charge system for your battery system illuminating. We're now to the very rear section of the body. There's a smaller compartment here with an adjustable tray. Moving to the emergency lights on the front bumper extension. And then as we move from this location, you'll find step lights located in the step area, front and rear. Moving up from this location, this is that marker clearance light that we talked about earlier. Moving up onto the body, you'll find a side-facing bullet-style camera on the driver's side and also on the passenger side. As we move through, you've got paddle latches to gain access inside. They are keyed and also lockable from the inside. On the outer edge of the exterior, you'll find your grab handles for gaining access in and out of the cab. As we move further up onto the body, you'll find 3 emergency warning lights. And as we move further up to the very top, you'll find a side-facing scene light. And then to the very rear section, you'll find an adjustable pole light on the very rear section of the cab. Let's move to the midsection of the pump panel area. At the very top section, you'll find a D handle which gains access into a smaller compartment. Just beneath that D handle is where you'll find a footstep, and then also you'll find LED lighting in this area and also sufficient grab handles. I would like to point out just above the D handle, you'll find a caution no step. That label is intentionally placed upside down so when it's in the open position, a person on top would easily see and be able to read that caution information. Let's move now to the engine information. It's the gray area here. We'll go over that in just a few moments. We'll talk a little bit about your master intake, which is the master gauge on your left, and then to the right you'll find your master discharge gauge on the right hand side. At the very top you'll find two gauge ports here for vacuum and pressure. Those ports are currently plugged. As we move to the right and left of the Pierce logo, you'll find two lift and turn. This will allow you to gain access to the piano hinge at the lower section for behind the pump panel. Starting up in the gray area again, engine information, we have oil and water temperature. Moving further down on the two right side and left side, you'll find volt and fuel information. Moving to the very center, you'll find a tachometer. There are two yellow or amber lights in this area. If illuminating, they would be in amber color. It's the check engine and also check transmission. In red would be a stop engine. That's on the left-hand side. Let's move now just to the right and down just a little bit where you'll find your Husky foam system. This is the red module. Just to the right of it, you'll find a LED indicator indicating for the foam level. Further to the right, you'll find a pump overheat indicator. It is automatic and there is a push button for testing the lights. Down below you'll find an audible alarm. Let's move now just to the right where we'll find your pump boss. To the left of it you'll find an additional audible alarm. Moving up to the very top, if illuminated it would be yellow in color and that would be the check engine light. In the very center you'll find a digital readout for your RPMs or tachometer. And then moving to the right, you'll find if illuminated in red, it would be a stop engine indicator. Let's move further down on the pump boss. The blue is the menu button, allowing you to scroll through the various menu functions of this device. Located in the center, you'll find diagnostic engine information. And then to the right, if you did receive an audible alarm, you do have the ability to silence the audible alarm with that red push button. You have two options, either pressure control or throttle control. Those are the two yellow buttons. Menu information displays in the digital readout in the center. You also have, if your pump is properly engaged, you'll find a throttle ready indicator. It is green in color, and then just beneath that you'll find a green preset button allowing you to dial in different presets. Moving further down you'll find the throttle, right to increase, left to decrease, and push in the very center where it says idle for idle position. You'll also find on the right hand side a water level indicator. That's the blue module. As we move further to the right you'll find a pump cooler. This is a recirculating line, and as we move further down you'll find an engine cooler. Both of those are twist, not pull. Moving further down you'll find the tank fill and recirculating line. Just underneath that you'll find an indicator. If your pump once again is properly engaged, you'll find this green illuminating. Let's take a look at some discharges here. We've got 1 through 4 clearly identified in this area, and then on the very far side, number 5. At the very top, you'll find your monitor, which is your master stream device, number 7, and also your booster line located or nestled together. As we move further down, I would like to point out a few placards here. This is for your Husky foam system. This is information on how its operation and also specifications. You'll find a set of switches in the upper right. First at the top is your pump light and also an engaged pump panel light. We talked about that earlier. In red, an air horn. And as we move down, you'll find some lighting switches. Further to the right, you'll find your primer. It is a push to prime. And there are some instructions below regarding at least 1,000 RPMs for best practices. Located on the black placard is your Pierce maintenance schedule. And further to the right, you'll find a fall warning hazard. Moving all the way to the right, you'll find your pump transmission. We also have a caution label here. And then moving further down, you'll find your tank to pump. It is noted here that in is the open position and out is closed. Just beneath that, you'll find a warning label here that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment only after they received proper training. Let's move down now and take a look at the pump panel lights. First, you'll find panel lights, pump engaged air horn, driver's side flood, booster reel line, and also crossley lights. This is that placard here from Pierce when it was tested. This is your minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 psi. On the left, you'll find the associated GPM, and on the right-hand side, you'll find the associated RPMs with the job number 33955 in the upper left. The blue tape here and duct tape is covering the large diameter pump intake so we don't get any foreign material inside. And then just to the right, you'll find your auxiliary foam functions. Moving further down, you'll find a warning label here. Do not mix different brands or consistencies for conditions of foam failure.
Also find a foam flush as you see just below that. That's a twist, not a pull. Let's move to the left-hand side here where you'll find your large diameter hose discharge. It is the green. And then to the right, once again, instructions regarding that minimum operation maintenance schedule. You'll also find all of your discharge drains and also down at the very bottom, a front inlet. This is an electronic valve, and so therefore you'll find a manual override on the opposite side. This is your Waterous pump placard. It is a 1,500 GPM pump. To the right, you'll find a warning label here regarding pressure hazard. Be cautious when opening caps that may be under pressure. Let's move now down to the panel area with the doors in the open position. This is going to be your foam fill operations. The yellow handle coincides with the instructions on the right-hand side of the door panel for fill and use operations. A few more close-ups. Just underneath the pump panel, you'll find your master drain. Once again, that's a open and close turn. And then you'll also find foam pump intake drain and also foam pump discharge drain. You'll also find a tank drain at the very bottom. That's a ball valve on the right-hand side with the black handle. Looking underneath, you'll also find your air tank drains and also perimeter lighting. Let's move now to the body. First, starting at the very bottom in front of and to the rear of the axle, you'll find your folding wheel chocks. Moving up from that location, you'll find a few pan doors on the side. The first one is going to be for your SCBA bottle storage. We'll go over those when they're in the open position. You do have a mid-marker light, which is an emergency warning light directly over the rear axle. You'll also find SCBA bottle storage for one bottle in this location, and as we move to the rear section, you'll find your DEF and also diesel fill locations. We've got a few images with those in the open position, but I just thought I'd discuss them now. At the very top, you'll find the trough for your suction hose. The very rear section, you'll find an emergency warning light. It is a 360-degree warning light. Let's move now to the very first compartment to the rear of the pump panel. At the very top, you'll find your air compressor. This will be active when plugged into shore power. We also have a secondary radio system down in the lower section and also a battery charger. Let's move through a couple of the items here, identify them a little bit closer. This is where the plugs are located. When plugged into shore power, these items will be activated. As we look further down, you'll find your battery saver. It's the one at the very bottom, and your battery charger would be up on top. You'll also find a push-to-talk and also a hand headset, which is similar to a telephone. Let's move from this location and we'll go to the upper portion where you can see the air compressor and also battery charger. And as we move further down, we'll go into the same compartment, just next shelving down. We're going to find your air shutoff and an air outlet. As we look to the left-hand side, you'll find a gray box. Inside that gray box is going to be your timer. When plugged into shore power, this will be activated for your ventilation system, which is located through all of your compartments. As we're back now to the outside or exterior, you'll find SCBA bottle storage with straps. You'll find there are 3 located on the driver's side. As we move further to the back, you'll find your fill location for diesel. It is the silver cap. As you flip the latch downward, it will expose the blue cap, which is your 4.5 US gallon DEF tank. We'll now move through a few more pictures. This is the very rear of your apparatus. You can see dry deck material on the bottom, LED lighting inside, adjustable shelving, and also that ventilation system. Let's now move to the rear of the apparatus. We'll identify a few items within this area. First, let's start with your reverse, turn, brake, emergency light. Those are on the passenger and driver's side rear. As we move upward from that location, you'll find a backup camera. And at the very top, you'll find a rear-facing emergency light, and then on the top, an additional 360-degree light for emergency lighting. Located on the right and left side, you'll find a scene light. These are adjustable. And then at the very top, you'll find additional lighting here, your traffic advisor. Let's move down to the bottom, identify a few of the warning labels here. This is a warning label regarding climbing on the apparatus. We also have a discharge on the left-hand side, which is reduced down to 1.5 inches. We have additional warning labels in this area too. Pressure hazard warning label, and also not riding on the rear of the apparatus, and also hose entanglement warning label. In the very back, you'll find a third brake light. And then as we move down to the lower section, you'll find an additional compartment. Just up from that location, you'll find your ladder storage, housing a 24-foot wood ladder and a 14-foot extension ladder. Moving upward, also a 10-foot folding, and then also long tool storage positions above that. Backboard storage is also at the very top section. Here's some close-ups of those items that we just talked about. Lower section at the very bottom. Your wood ladders here located 24 and 14. At the very top, you can see the 3 locations for long tool storage. We'll continue with a few more close-ups of these items. First, starting at the very top, you can see in the upper left is your backboard storage location. As we move down to the bottom roll-up door, you'll find this warning label once again for fall. And then I'd also like to point out the lower shelf here does have the ability to pull outward. That's the release mechanism on the right-hand side. You do have a cupped rear scene light that activates the 2 lights on the very top section of your apparatus. On the left and right hand side, you'll find fold down steps. Moving to the upper left hand corner of the rear of the apparatus is where you'll find recessed backup camera. As we move through, you'll also find additional hose storage location. These are for speedlays, and then an upper section here at the very top for additional hose storage with center dividers. Let's take a look now at the side of the apparatus. I've got all the compartment doors in the open position just to get a quick look. Most of the items are going to be similar to the driver's side, but let's go ahead and cover those things in those items. Adjustable shelves, LED lighting. In this compartment, we also have the ventilation system. To the rear of the axle, you have an SCBA bottle storage location with retaining strap. As we move to the center section, you'll have a tool board here located for mounting of equipment. As we move just in front of the rear axle, you'll find SCBA bottle storage. There are 2 on the passenger side. As we move down, I would like to point out this label here regarding extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures, and be cautious where you park your vehicle. Also mounted inside some of the compartments, you'll find LED lighting mounted with charging systems. At the very bottom section, you'll find a manifold drain. This is on the passenger side, just below the main pump area. You'll also find a tubbed storage location here for large diameter hose storage. And we'll start in the upper left-hand corner with a warning label here regarding not riding on the side of the apparatus while it's in motion. And also an entanglement hazard here. Because of those lines coming from aloft, we have the possibility of entanglement. We do have a pan door on the far left-hand side to be able to get behind the pump panel. And then as I move just to the right, you'll find this is duct tape taped around your large diameter pump intake, once again trying to avoid any foreign material going inside. Just up from that location, you'll find a pressure warning hazard label, and then to the right, you'll find your large diameter discharge. This is going to be green in color, and it's labeled on also the driver's side pump panel. There are 2 2.5 discharges located on this side. You can see one is reduced down to 1.5 inches. Down at the very lower left corner, you'll find all your associated color-coded and labeled drains. You also have an additional pump panel access here to gain access behind the panel, and then just to the right you'll find your controls here for your cab lift. Let's move back up to the upper section here. I would like to point out this compartment here is a hinged compartment. The hinge is located on the very top. To gain access here, you're going to lift and turn, and then once you get behind, this is where you're going to find the strainer, and it's behind the silver cap. So this is your water strainer. Let's move from this location, close the door, move to the right, and we're going to find crosslays. We have a center divider located with a grab handle. As we move further down, you'll find that warning regarding entanglement hazard, and then also your booster rewind, air horn, and passenger side flood. Here's a close-up of the number 4 and number 2. These are 2.5-inch discharges. The other one is reduced down to 1.5 inches. Once again, that pressure warning hazard, and then also on the left-hand side, or right-hand side rather, you'll see the cab lift. We have instructions here for lower and raise, and then also danger regarding making sure everything is secure inside the cab and that all items are cleared. Inside the lower pan door, you're going to find your override for your electronic valve. It's important before engaging that valve manually that you do hit the override switch. Moving up to the left, you'll find your intake relief valve. and then also all of your color-coded and discharge drains. Let's go ahead and move now just underneath this area where you'll find a manifold drain and lever for it. As we move to the forward section, you'll find in the upper left-hand corner a do not cap, that is your intake relief valve, and then you'll also find a 2.5 inch at the lower section. This is from your front inlet. Let's go ahead and move now to the dunnage area. We'll first start with your hydraulic oil reservoir. This is for your Husky foam system. Moving to the booster line, you'll find a tension knob on the right-hand side for increasing or decreasing tension for free spool. At the very top section, you'll find the location where you would insert the tool for manual rewind. Now to the monitor, you'll find an extended gun located here to raise above the cab level, and then on top of that, you'll find your monitoring system. Let's move just to the right in the same image here, where you'll find the on-off wheel valve for your MasterStream device. Let's take a look at some close-ups. Hydraulic oil reservoir on the right-hand side. There is a visual gauge on the bottom of the hose. You'll find a shutoff. As we move now to the MasterStream device, you can see that it is a wheel. It's an open and close. And then as we move to the front side of that is where you'll find your booster reel rewind. Let's go ahead and move now to the cab section, where you'll find on both right and left-hand side of the cab, you'll find a warning label that this is a non-walking surface. Be cautious when you're in this area. As we move to the back wall of the cab, you'll find the passenger and driver's side pole lights. As we move also in the dunnage area, you'll find your top fill water location and also your foam fill location. We do have a warning label here on the foam fill. Do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for foam failure. Let's go ahead and now move from the dunnage area. Just look to the rear where you'll find your diamond plate covered hose bed cover, and then you'll also find the diamonds around the edge that are reflective, indicating the edge of the walking surface. Moving to the cab, at all points of entry for personnel, you'll find these warning labels affixed to the door panel. Located in the center at the rear section of the engine is where you'll find the location for your daily checks for oil and transmission. Quick view from the front looking to the rear, 2 seats nestled together, and on either side you'll find SCBA brackets. Looking overhead, you'll find push on and off lenses that are white or red. As we move now to the section where you do your daily checks, this will be for your transmission and also for oil. As we look to the pedestal at the rear wall of your apparatus, you'll find additional storage locations. Both passenger and driver side have access panels, as the front section also. Inside this compartment, you do have shore power located with a receptacle. Once again, passenger and driver side, you'll find SCBA mounts. As we move to the rear wall, in between the 2 seats is where you're going to find your intercom system, which is a David Clark headset system. We'll go ahead and go overhead in the same vicinity, and you'll also find additional storage. You can find LED lighting inside these compartments. In addition, you'll find a access when plugged into shore power. Your shoreline outlet will be active. That's a 20 amp plug. As we move to those 2 compartments in the front section, you'll find compartment lighting switches on the passenger and driver side. On the driver's side, you'll also find a location for your handheld lights and charging system. Looking from the rear toward the front, let's take a look behind those 2 front seats. This is going to be the driver's passenger area, and you can see that there is also a receptacle here, shoreline outlet. Once again, when plugged into shore power, this will be activated. Now as we move to the opposite side, behind the driver's seat, you'll find this speaker. This is regarding your backup system. As we move to the front section of the cab for the officer's area, you'll find a supplemental restraint system. Do not mount anything within this area for safety. On the right, you'll find a fill location for your windshield wiper fluid on the hinged side of the door. As we move up to the glove box area, just below the grab handle, and just a quick close-up here of the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. Let's go back now to the seat area. Just under the seat, this will be the officer's seat. There is additional storage here. Let's move just to the left of this location where we'll find a few push buttons, first starting with the radio PTT push to talk, and then also mechanical siren, 12-volt barrel style access points, and also USB 12-volt access. Quick view of the center dash. Let's start with the first set of switches, starting on the left-hand side with your perimeter lights, rear floodlights, driver's side flood, front flood, and passenger side flood. Any of these switches have been activated, the green light will illuminate in the center area. As we move down to the next set of switches, you'll find window controls, passenger side, driver's side, and also crew cab. Just up from this location where the climate control is at, you'll find a 12-volt access. This is barrel style again. And then overhead in the officer seat, you'll find a digital readout for your speedometer. Let's move slightly to the left in this image. You'll find a few of these candy cane warning labels. It's indicating that there is wire behind those and what those wires are going to as far as fuse blocks. Further to the left, you'll find an AM/FM radio. In the center, you're going to find your Pierce seatbelt information, red indicating someone is in the seat and not belted, blue or green indicating they're in the seat and belted. To the right, you'll find a digital readout for your air temperature. Let's go ahead and just go below this area where you'll find a speaker here for your unit radio. You'll also find a red lensed flashing light indicating that you have a compartment or door open and do not move your apparatus. Let's look overhead. You'll find David Clark headset system, your air conditioning unit. You'll also find lanyards for your air horns, and then also push on or off red and white lights. Now to the driver's space. On the door panel, you'll find all of your warning labels in addition with seatbelt information on the seat itself. As we move down to about the right ankle of the operator, we'll find some additional placards. These are placards from Pierce. We'll go over those in just a moment. At the base of the seat, you'll find a low voltage indicator. It is an audible alarm with a reset. As we move to the door itself, you'll find the red latch will be your door lock mechanism. And then as we move down to the very bottom, once again, this is your voltage indicator. Let's go back to about the right ankle area where you'll find your manufactured from Pierce for the city of Bellevue. This is the date of manufacture of February 2020, has their job number on it, has all of your gross vehicle weight ratings, cold tire inflation, in addition with your VIN, and also fluid capacities, components, fluid capacity type, and fluid types. You'll also find warranty information affixed also in this same vicinity. Let's go back now just about the left knee of the operators where you'll find your master battery switch. We'll start in this area next. It is the red switch, quarter turn, either right on or left turn off. As we move up from this location, we'll find an emergency parking brake and release. It's the green round circular with the protected handle. To the right, you'll find your pump shift. There are instructions from road to pump and also from pump to road. For pumping operations, you'll need both green indicators illuminating, pump engaged, and OK to pump. Let's move now to the right hand side. Just above this location where you'll find your ignition, start switch, fan clutch, mirror heat, cab locks down, not engaged, that's an indicator, and then also a red fuel primer switch. From this location, let's go ahead and move to the right hand side of the steering column. You'll find your DPF regen inhibit, and also your DPF regen and vehicle data recording port. Just beneath that on the underside, you'll find your maintenance plug locations. This is going to be your ABS, transmission, and engine diagnostics. As we move to the dash itself, on the left-hand side, we're going to find your oil, water, transmission, and volts, and also a tachometer. As we move to the right-hand side of the column, you'll find your air pressure for front and rear, your DEF level, and also a fuel level, and then your speedometer. Just a quick look at the dash layout. Let's start in the upper left-hand corner of this image with your headlights, dimmer, which will allow you to dim the panel lights, your wiper control or speed, and then also a differential lock on and off, and differential lock activated, which is an indicator light. Moving further down, you'll find the engine brake on and off on your left-hand side, settings of that engine brake for low, medium, and high. You have an activate howler cancel, ATC disable, high idle switch, and then an indicator OK to engage your high idle. Let's move just to the right in the same area where we're going to find your siren control and also PA speaker system. Just beneath that, you'll find a front wheel lock. It's a protected front wheel lock. And then to the right, you'll find your pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release, also behind a protected. Moving to the right, you'll find your Allison transmission pad with an indication to pump and drive. As we move downward from this location, we'll find a radio push to talk, an indicator regarding your supplemental restraint system fault, and then also main mirror controls for left and right of the vehicle. Let's go ahead and go overhead of the seated position for the driver. You'll find this yellow placard affixed at the very top indicating the height 10 feet 1 inch, length 30 feet 4 inches, and a gross vehicle weight rating of 48,500 pounds. If you make any changes to this vehicle, please update this placard. Let's move to the right to the next set of rocker switches. First, starting with the red switch on the left, this is your emergency master switch. Controls all of your emergency lights, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. Once again, if any of those switches are engaged, the indicator will illuminate within each respected switch. To the right, you'll find your high beam flash, Opticom. The red is going to be a siren brake, siren horn. It's a switch to select either or, a load manager, and then also an indication regarding your total system of your load manager. We'll go ahead and move down from this location where we're going to see your monitor for your zone defense. These are for the cameras on the rear and also passenger and driver side. Overhead, you'll find your traffic advisor. And then we'll take just a quick look in the very center section. You'll find your auxiliary front wheel lock. There are some instructions and information on its use. Congratulations, Bellevue, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 33955. If you have any questions in regards to this video or the content of your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.